While 2020 was definitely not a party, we're still very hopeful and predicting that 2021 will be much better, particularly as the vaccine takes hold and we get past the pandemic. Before we get there, let's take one last look at the top labor markets in the country ranked by LaborIQ by ThinkWhy. Hello, Jay Denton here with you once again. As we wrap up this year and we take one final look at that proprietary ranking that we have, which takes into account multiple factors to rank the health of the labor market for you, talent acquisition professional. If we look at the list, we are seeing some themes play out. One would be geography. In certain places that we are seeing the labor market perform a bit better either now, or it has some good underlying fundamentals that we believe will help it accelerate into the future. So looking at some of those things, one is just geography. A little bit in the West, mainly in the Pacific Northwest. I'll mention some specific markets here in a minute. Texas, seeing strength there. Over into the Southeast, mainly Atlanta, the North Carolina, South Carolina area, as well as a couple markets in Florida. So what is it that's driving some of those markets? Well, one is just retention of jobs. So maybe not falling as far or rebounding a little bit faster than other markets. And even some small places, smaller locations across the US make that list, like Boise, Idaho, and Greenville, South Carolina, Huntsville, Alabama. Those are some of the ones that have actually done a pretty decent job at retaining and then adding back some of the jobs since the pandemic began. Population growth, so where people are moving around the country. Dallas, which is at the top of the list for the overall rankings. Markets like Denver and Atlanta make that list. If we look at things like wage growth, Seattle, so I mentioned the Pacific Northwest would be on there. Seattle makes it for wage growth, but if we go down the coast a little bit, down to Portland, it's one of the ones along with Austin and Durham, North Carolina, that educational attainment is one of the reasons that we still believe it's one of the top 15 markets in terms of labor market health. Now, if we look at some areas of the country noticeably missing from this list, the Northeast, the Midwest, and California. These are some of the places that we've seen, more impacted by COVID, more job loss, less of a rebound in some of those places. We do think, though, that once we get into 2021, those markets and most of the others around the country, we are going to see a substantial rebound after we get past the pandemic. So again, look for big hiring to start, likely closer to mid and late 2021. Now, until we see you then, I hope everyone has a safe and happy holiday, and we look forward to seeing you next year.